Hi everyone, my name is Amber and I'm going to be talking to you about the BioBlitz I just completed using iNaturalist. So iNaturalist is a website for the scientific community, average people alike, who share pictures of various animals, insects, or fungi to identify them to contribute to biodiversity and conserving the ecosystem. And before this, I found out about iNaturalist, I was a BioBlitzer and I didn't even know it. I am a nature fanatic, and this is just an example of some of the pictures I took over the summer. But if I knew about iNaturalist, I could have been contributing to the scientific community. So I used Google Images mostly to identify these species. Like the top left one, I thought was a caterpillar, and I saved it from entanglement of hair. And it was actually a llamoth, which has poisonous bristles. And then the bottom left one, it looks like two cardinals are kissing, but they're actually passing a seed through their mouth because it's during mating season. But all these pictures could have went on iNaturalist if I had knew about it. So the first species I identified was a gymnosperm, which was Pinus strobus, an eastern white pine. So they adapt and they can thrive in any kind of soil, but they preferred well-drained. They're evergreen conifers and they're identifiable by their clusters and cone shapes. I had to go to a few places because it's winter for this project. So this one was in Yarmouth, which I had pine trees outside of my house, but for the bug purpose when we get there. So this is an angiosperm, and it is Alex verticillata, and it's a winter hollyberry. And the one on the left is from outside of my house, and the one on the right is from Hathaway's Pond. So I just thought it was interesting to see the difference. They thrive in moist and wet soil, but they can thrive in many different soils. They like a pH balance that's acidic to moderate, and they're deciduous. And that means that they have their vibrant berries through the winter, but their leaves do fall. Um, and so my next one is an angiosperm, Ruis typhina, and this is a staghorn smuck, and they like well-drained soil, but they can thrive in really any soil in any range of pH levels, even in droughts. And so they are also distaceous. And if you look right here, this is a smuck bobs, and so they're good for other animals to eat. And they are also soil stabilizing, and but they are invasive, so they can contribute to a lack of biodiversity because they're utilizing all the resources, well, a good amount of them, and they're also known to be an allergen to humans. So this is another angiosperm. This was taken at the Barnstable Animal Conservatory. So this is a Phragmites australis, and this is a common reed, and they like wet environments. You can find them on the side of the road on disturbed areas. They grow very aggressive, and they also have a problem with biodiversity. And another thing is they have allopathy, which is like this chemical that contributes to the crops that are around them not growing, but they are good for water filtration. So this is an angiosperm. This is Hedera helix, and this is an English ivy. And you can find them in many environments, ground or tree climbers, and they are very invasive and they're outcompeting the resources, whether it's the other plants in the area or the tree they're on. You know, they're taking a lot of the resources from the tree. So they can also be a good shelter for other animals like birds. And so this is a invertebrate. This is a Lysis interjectus, citronella ant. They are usually founded in wooded areas. They live in soil, under rocks, and abide by a hierarchy, a social hierarchy. And they have a defense mechanism that lets out a lemony scent. They're good for seed distribution, and they are good for decaying of organic matter. And one thing, they protect aphids, which produce honey when they're when they produce honey, and so the ants like the honeydew, and what they do is in return, these aphids are damaging to crops, so it's not actually good for crops that they're protected. This next introvert intro introbrates. Calliphoridae is a blowfly. And so these are widespread. I also found this at the conservatory, and I can't tell you how happy I was to see this fly, because there's really, I went there to find bugs and there wasn't many. So these are widespread. They are good for eating decaying of organic matter, but they're scavengers, so they eat the dead animals, and they can carry diseases, but they're also good for pollination. And so, sorry for this bad picture, but it was just a lack of bugs. This is a moth in the order Lepidoptera. And they're widespread. Moths are known to be nocturnal. They eat nectar, but they also can eat carrion, which is dead animals. They can be good for pollination and the food cycle of other animals, but they can be damaging to crops and clothes of humans. So another vertebrate is a Melospiza melodia, and this is a song sparrow. They're adaptable in many environments. They lay their nest in shrubs or lower on the ground. They have a melody of songs, which they use for mating and also being territorial. They're good for pest control. They're bad for crop damage. And interesting fact, they're also susceptible to falling prey on cowbirds, which is another species that will go and lay their eggs in the nest of song sparrows, and then they'll be competing for resources. My last one is a vertebrate, Zenata macruora, a mourning dove. And these are adaptable. They're low nesters, so they're susceptible to being prey. They're known for their coos, which they use for mating. They eat seeds and insects, and they're good for seed dispersal. But they also can damage crops. So, all of these pictures I shown you are on this app, iNaturalist, and the countless photos I have in my phone could have been contributed to iNaturalist too. And I know from now on, that's where I will be uploading all of my amazing nature pictures of different species and animals. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day.